Every single jump in business evolution that I've had has come with a new limiting constraint that has wanted to pull my hair out. And right now we're going through that again. But just to take you full circle, every single time, let's say you go from zero to your first few $1,000s of online business, that is like the most amount of effort that you need to put in for such a little outcome. But it's that first glimmer of freedom. You go from knowing nothing to having enough knowledge of a skill to where you can provide value that people are willing to pay for. That is like the first really hard jump that you need to go through, that most people are at, because they never put the outsized amount of effort into learning something that people are willing to pay for. Then once you do that, you think, okay, I'm about to go from making $4,000 a month straight to $10,000 a month. And maybe, but you're probably the limiting constraint is you need to get better at that skill. And that takes a lot of more effort and a lot more time to get really, really good at something, to where you're actually providing an outsized return of your time to what someone else is willing to pay for. And then the problem is you go from $10,000 to, let's say, $30,000 a month. That can still be from the same skill, but a lot of the times it's replicating yourself or having some degree of basic systems or hiring your first few people to where you're able to focus on the highest leverage things. And when you focus on the highest leverage things, you're able to increase your income. But when you're at that point, you get to your first $10,000 a month and you think it's going to be very easy to scale to $100,000 a month without realizing there's a new constraint of your business. And then you fix that constraint, which for me was getting better at that same skill. I had to get substantially better at the skill that I started with to go from $10,000 to $25,000 a month. But to get from $25,000 a month to $50,000 a month, it was a completely different skill set that was necessary. I mean, it was going from having a high-paying job and a high-paying skill to being able to replicate your skill and hire people that can help you to where you can focus on the highest leverage tasks, and you have a team of people that can perform a lot of the other tasks. But then to go from 50 to 100, it was completely different set of skills again. And every single time you get to that point, you have a new limiting constraint, and you have this new, once you get there, you have this uninformed optimism that you think is going to allow you to scale to 100 and then 150, then 200, 250, etc. Then every single time I'd get to a new level, I would level up, and then I would see, oh my God, there's so many blue skies, we could go so far. But then you don't go far. You actually stay in the exact same spot until you fix the limiting constraint. And a lot of the problems that we've had have been operational, systematized. That is not what I'm good at. That is not my skill set. That is a very incredible weak point of mine. And so you get to a new level and you realize that you have a new constraint. But if you fix that constraint, you can literally go from $50,000 to $100,000 in MRR. And so is it worth it pushing a ton of outsized effort and blood and sacrifice and extremities to fix that constraint to have another doubling of the business? And the answer has always been yes. Right now, recently, we've hit a new level that is very, very high. And so we have a new constraint, and this constraint has been making me pull my fucking hair out. This week, I probably had 30 coffees, and it's Thursday, and I'm probably gonna have another 30 coffees before this week is over. It's honestly been the worst week that I can remember in my life. I've hated the amount of stress that I've gone through, but I understand that if we fix this constraint that we have right now, we will be able to double again. And if we double, we are in the 0.001% of businesses on Earth. So if very few businesses in the entire world get to that stature, then would I expect it to be easy? Would I expect it to not take a super outsized amount of effort? There's a reason why most businesses don't scale to these levels. And so to get there, it's just going to take being smarter, having better people, and putting an outsized amount of effort into the highest leverage things that are never the things you want to do. Because if it is the constraint, that's not going to be your skill set. You're going to have to find a way to either hire someone to solve that for you or get better at more skills, which is why it's so hard to run a business, because you have to be so good at so many different things while putting out infinite fires. And so I actually have got a call right now to be a fucking debt collector, because for one of the businesses, we got fuckers that aren't paying, which is a different concern, which is just ridiculous. Working with this is a large company that has been giving us the biggest pain in the ass of all time for one of my clients. So I've got to handle that. This has been a terrible week. Most way, wedding in Peru. We do got a good wedding on Sunday. My head is absolutely beaming right now. Like my entire head just feels like it's gonna fucking explode. But is it worth it if you know that once you figure out the limiting constraint where you are right now, you are probably going to be able to double in size? And understanding that once we solve for this, we will be in the 0.01% of all businesses on Earth, then yes, it is a no-brainer. And it doesn't seem like that big of a problem. And it's a problem that so many businesses have solved in the past. So it's stressful in the short term when you think short term. When you think on a long-term time horizons on a much bigger scales, it's not even a problem to begin with.